Morgan, how are you?
How am I? I am amazing. How are you?
I don't know how you always wake up amazing. Like, do you ever just wake up on the wrong side of the bed?
My kids think I do. So, but
Well,
I think I'm perfect in every way, practically perfect in every way. I'm always happy. I actually think that
listen, everybody, I tell you the truth, she's not lying. That's her normal everyday face, every tooth that she has. Listen, we are getting to after. My name is Chatone Morganne. I'm the host of this podcast. If you've been with us for a while, you know who she is, but let her tell you who she is.
Hey everybody, good morning. I'm Morgan Bustos and I am an EFT practitioner, a life coach. I also do a lot of public speaking and get to help women that are navigating through what it looks like to be on in the middle of and on the end of domestic violence. So we're really excited to be able to work together with a lot of the shelters here in the community and to help women see that they're seen. So, Chaton?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm the host. I told you. I'm Princess Positivity, lots and lots of things. Listen, the most important thing, the takeaway is not who I am. The takeaway is who are you. You as our listeners, you as our audience, whether you're here in the premiere or you're here in the replay, it's really not about us. We show up every single Tuesday and we've done it for a year and a half because we believe that midlife women are just that important. We believe that your voice, you being seen, you being heard, you being acknowledged, you being loved on. That's why we show up. We like to do EFT. We like to do a little bit of coaching. We like to do a little bit of teaching. And today we're going to be talking about what happens when you make a decision, people don't agree with you, and then you start to like feel that angsty second guessing, that discomfort. Morgan, this came up in my mind because just a couple weeks ago, I was at a convention and I was in conversation with quite a few midlife women, just old friends of mine, people I hadn't seen in a while. And almost every single one of them started telling, just telling their stories about some big decisions they had made in the recent past. Like I
Mhm.
would say the last 12 months or so. Some had shifted relationships, changed jobs, even down to like moving, getting new cars, all different types of things. And some had even had to let go of friendship they'd had for a long time, shifted
Mhm.
relationships with adult children. And there was so much disrespect that they were talking about that they had received. Not everyone, but
Mhm.
many had just received, I don't agree. I think you're making a mistake. Why are you doing this? Lots of question, lots of judgment. And while we were talking, it was unexpected to me because I was not in a coaching role. I was just being a friend the moment. There was a
Right.
lot of tears. There was actual, and the tears came from, well, I don't even know where the tears came from. It's just like from their soul. They were being themselves. They were talking about how they felt. And next thing I knew, they were tears.
Mhm.
And a lot of people, a lot of these women, there's about 4 or 5 women, had been questioned so hard about the decisions they were making. And first thing that this made me think of was, a couple weeks back, we were talking about decision fatigue and
Right.
how many decisions we have to make. And, it's more than ever it was before. But when we make those small decisions that kind of make us tired, nobody's affected by those. We make these bigger ones. People all of a sudden have these opinions that necessarily are not what ours are. What was interesting though, because I was going to come out with a coaching question, even though I wasn't in a coaching role, was how do you feel now?
Mhm.
I find myself, Morgan, asking that question to people all the time, even strangers. How do you feel? And I'm recognizing by the responses, and I'll say this again, it's often tears. It's often like this clutching the pearls. It's like, because people aren't being asked that.
Mhm.
Midlife women aren't being asked that, or if they're being asked or they have the opportunity to say something, right away, there's disagreement. And almost across the board, the answer was everything's so much better now. People
Mhm.
didn't understand, but one after the next just kept saying, my life is better now. And I've just been sitting with that for the last couple of weeks because what if we're trying to make these changes, people are disagreeing with us, then we decide, oh no, we're going to do something else. Because a lot of times the decisions aren't just changes, they are resets, which of course is
Mhm.
the theme of the spring magazine, right? Resetting. Sometimes we're not planning a full reset, but the decisions we have to make or the decisions we decide we're ready to make, those switches really are a reset, and
Mhm.
it's a way for us to choose peace, and that peace may not mean everyone else's approval. What do you think?
Oh, honey, that hit me so hard when you said we were gonna talk about this because a lot of times it's hard to go against people's expectations of you. And especially when those people, whether it's your family or friends, whatever it may be, they're used to you being a certain way. Like their whole
Yeah,
lives, you've been this way. And then when you're doing this healing, you start making those shifts and changes. And they're like, whoa, 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 you're starting to move different. This is making them feel, they're like, you're making
yeah,
me feel uncomfortable.
yeah,
And that's really what it is people aren't you when you shift and you change, you're making them have to acknowledge where
mhm,
they're at, and then also seeing a difference with you. So a lot of times they may even pull back, or
yeah,
you might start pulling back because
yeah,
you want it to go back to it feeling that easier feeling, so you're not having all that
yeah,
tension going on. But at the same time, there's usually a deeper knowing that the decision that you made to move forward, it was the right one,
the right
even if
one. Yeah, even if it's hard to study. And that's kind of what, that's a kind of consensus. I would love to take a greater poll on this. If you're listening to us and or whether you're in the premiere or the replay, I would love for you to put in the comments, how does this resonate with you? How have you seen this show up in your life? Have you made some big decisions lately that haven't always been met with the way you want them to be met? Because when we, especially by midlife, when we make a decision, that's something we had to think of. Let's think about changing jobs.
mm,
I remember, when I decided in 2012 that I had had enough of corporate. I was done. I was good, and I wasn't going back.
mhm,
The people that I worked with on my job, who were not the closest people in my life, they were acquaintances, they were colleagues. They
yeah,
congratulated me. They were so happy for me. They were with me on a daily basis, watching me struggle, suffer. My health was crazy. I had all kind of issues, in and out of surgeries. They saw all that. And they knew that I made my own choice. It's not as if I was fired. I made a choice to walk away, and they were so congratulatory and happy for me.
mhm.
So, if I say that, it means that some people that were close to me were like,
Uh, yeah.
stink eye, the left eye,
Mm,
binoculars, everything. There was so many questions and opinions and sometimes even silence. And I did, well, my first inclination, well, you know, but the next inclination was because they don't understand and they don't respect me, but I'm not changing my decision. I am going to just pull back. And that pullback was real. It was like I immediately started to feel like I needed to second guess my decision, but I kept that on the inside because once I said bye bye, and they gave me them stock options, I knew I was outie. Like I knew that.
yeah.
Um, I feel that sometimes when the source of our discomfort, when we feel about things, comes from other people, what else can we do but pull back?
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Because discomfort can feel like you need to retreat from everything or even rethink it. But sometimes it's not even that at all, honey. Sometimes it's just that we need that stretch that comes with doing something new or choosing something differently can be overwhelming. But
Yeah.
that's when we learn to stay with that decision, even if it feels uncomfortable. Because comfort is growth, growth is comfort, grows into comfort. And sometimes the discomfort isn't a warning, it's just reality doing something different.
So I know that we often talk about domestic violence and some of the choices you had to make, but those were amazing choices. And I don't think anyone disagreed with those. But as you've come out of that, like the way that we help other women as they're coming out of it, what do you find are some of the discomforting decisions that have to be made?
Um, First of all, just leaving. There's people that are actually gonna judge you for leaving because they don't quite understand the depths of what was going on. Other decisions are where you're going to live, if you have to
Mhm.
kids from the school, if you have to start homeschooling them, if you're change congregations, if you have to move towns. There's so much judgment that comes with a lot of those different things.
You're talking about some really serious things. Obviously, figuring out where to live, what your kids are going to do, and all those things. And those are the things facing a lot of the women that we talk to. But in terms of making those kinds of decisions, what do you think are some of the things, aside from just other people's opinions, that can throw a woman off track?
Oh, guilt.
Mm.
Feeling guilty that you're having to make these decisions to begin with, the shame that comes along with having to make these decisions. So then you're constantly second guessing yourself as to if this is even the right thing to do.
Hmm. Do you find that? I don't want to. I don't want to make this a DV conversation, but I'm just so curious. because, and especially because we have the magazine out right now, and the new spring magazine, of course, part of our initiative is the empowerment of essential kits, and you've been visiting a lot of shelters down there in North Carolina. Do and this is I don't ever want to say anything negative about the women and the men who work along with these women, but do you find that they always get it? Because I don't know, from my thought, they don't always get that a woman is not it's not that quick.
Mm.
That making those decisions, it's like there's fits and starts, and it's from many, many things.
Well, absolutely, honey, because they do this every day. So they're used to helping people. They know what steps to take next. Well, most of the time they know what steps to take next. But this is just, it's just another person coming through, another person coming through. So it can be frustrating for them sometimes that you're not at a point
Right.
that you're ready to move forward as quickly as they want you to. So then they
Right.
don't respond to you the way that they, not the way that they need to, but the way you need them
You
to,
need
right
something.
there. So then that impacts everything, and that guilt and shame even more because you're not feeling understood, so it makes it
Yeah.
hard to
Yeah.
afford the decisions that you're making.
So it's so crazy. It's like, when you're ready to move forward, maybe you don't have the support that you need. And then when other people are ready for you to move forward, you may not be ready. And I
Mhm.
think that happens across the board. And I think especially if a midlife woman is escaping a DV situation, when you were a little bit younger than that, just kind of on the cusp of that. Um, but it's gotta be so difficult, especially with what you're saying, that people are not even, like, on your side. I can imagine that having to make those and then live with the fallout, which sometimes isn't always as positive as you want it to be because, as you were saying, you're making decisions, you're growing, you're changing, and you're saying, "Oh, this one worked? Okay, no, no, let me double back and do this other one." I think that the women I was speaking to, even though it wasn't a DV situation, they were having those same kind of thoughts as well, and it wasn't until now that they're on the other side of the decision to say, yes, it's the best thing that ever happened. You don't know that right away. You don't know that as soon as you make the decision. You only figure that out once you see, oh, that worked, that worked. You don't know that right away. And I think about just thinking back to when I quit my job again, or, when I asked to be let go and get a package, I had no idea, Morgan, what was going to happen. None. And I thought about it for the collective of 5 minutes. I've told you the story before. I looked at Mark and I said, "Are they going to let people go next week? So I should ask to be one of them, right?" And he said, that was the extent of our conversation. And he goes, "Yeah, okay." No check in the bill, nothing. It was a gut decision that now is the time.
Mhm.
And I don't necessarily suggest making a choice like that. And obviously, even in your situation, being much more important and much more legacy driven for your family, you didn't just make that at spur of the moment. The moment you decided to leave, yes.
That
But
was
before that, the preparation that you had made for your family. So I think that, it's no matter what happens, there's going to be some people that aren't going to understand. And yet we make Morgan, I'm sorry. That dog, sometimes when I'm taping that dog truly, so I really, I hate to have cut my thought off, but that dog was going insane because daddy just came home. I know you know all about that because you got those big giant monsters at your house there that
yeah,
think it's a puppy.
yep. Kinda to piggyback on where you were though, honey, a lot of women are in a space right now where they have made the decision for their own peace, right?
Yeah.
Or they may be standing on the edge of one, and it does feel hard because of how you might be received, right? And how
Mm,
you are in people's company, like, because a lot of times you can feel rejected from it. And if you aren't sure, here's a good question to reflect on and perhaps to use when you're journaling next time and to write on. The question is, what decision have I made or am I considering that feels right for me, but
yeah.
difficult to stand in because of how it may affect others? That one's
Yeah,
deep.
that's very powerful. It's funny because I think that the question is, do we ask that of ourselves? Do we ever ask that? You know what I'm gonna do every week, all right? It's funny that we need to ask ourselves that question and we need to journal on it. I do like the idea of spending that time journaling on it. You don't have the magazine, make sure you get it because we talk about journaling. It's so critical because what ends up happening is You don't know how you feel something,
Mhm.
but you don't know what it is. And then the thing is, you come back and you second guess yourself. So that question you asked, I think there's another question and it has to do with it as well. Is like the second level of that is, am I seeking someone's approval, even though I know I already got what I need?
Oh, wow. Yes.
Right? Because I'm thinking you said something like, "Am I? Can I stand the decision?" I mean, I have to go back and replay myself and listen. You said, "Can I stand the decision because of the way it may affect others?" But my
Mm.
thing is okay, that's true. You need to know that. But then, to me, a deeper question is, why do you care? I mean, I'm not saying we don't care about other people. We do. But when I was talking with these women, we're talking they're in their 40s, 50s. One was in her 60s, and she's like, I had to do, it was a 22-year change, something she'd been doing for 22 years. And she said, I had to make a change, and many people didn't understand. And then she was talking about another person that she knows who's at that, which is at the cusp, but
Yeah.
at the edge. And she's afraid because she doesn't know who she's going to hurt. I'm like, is it, is it murder? Like, is it, are you stealing someone's car? No, it's a personal decision. And yes, we do worry about other people. That makes you a good person, right? Being compassionate, being empathetic. But at the same time, is it empathy? Is it compassion? Or are you seeking approval? That's a different thing.
But then at the same time, Chatone, so many times you feel like you're being blacklisted because you're making a choice that's good for yourself and other people don't agree
Yeah,
with it. So it is
yeah,
a hard place
yeah,
to come back to as
yeah,
to what the actual reason is for
yeah,
that.
yeah. So, I definitely something we're going to tap on. I told you that today, we were going to talk about something, but just lightly, because this is something that I'm still working through myself. Like as I make, in my midlife plus era, as I
Mhm.
make certain decisions, as I have to draw certain lines in the sand around certain ideas, but also certain individuals do not, who are not intent on bringing peace.
Mm.
You know, sometimes it's so funny. One of my coaches, she would say that she had a client. I hope this is true. I'm gonna retell this story, but she said that she had a client that had on her answering machine that when someone would call, it would say, hi, her name is whatever. And she said, if you haven't heard, I've been making a lot of changes in my life recently. And if I don't respond to you when you leave your message, that's one of the changes. Like on the answering machine, something to that effect.
Yes.
And it's kind of deep because it's like, oh, everybody's phone didn't break when they don't respond.
Yep.
Everybody didn't change their number, a new number, who this? Some people have decided, some women especially, that this is no longer serving me. And I have shrunk
Mm.
myself. In fact, another question is, what would it look like for me to honor my peace? And again, I'm not talking about not being compassionate. What would it look like if I honor my peace fully? What would it look like if I don't always be the person that has to shrink back? And I'm not talking about being unkind.
Mm.
What if I'd made a decision and didn't over explain? The last person who's talking, the last person who's going on and on and on, the more words you put to it. And this is back in the day, not now, because you the big girl, you big girl now. But like back in the day when you were struggling with different things, especially out in Colorado, um, it's like you don't have to worry about having the last word, and you don't have to worry about saying all the things.
Mm. Like
The most
overextending everything.
the
Yeah.
most powerful person is usually the person that says the least.
Mm.
And that's why quiet makes people feel uncomfortable because, like, well, if you're not sure of yourself. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I love this. I like this conversation. This idea of are you honoring your peace? In fact, I think I'm going to put those questions up right here so you have them to journal on.
You don't have to have the perfect answer to these either, but they're worth your time to think about. And if anything does come up for you as you sit with them, you can definitely tap on it. In fact, like what Chatone, why don't we just go ahead and tap right now?
Yeah, yeah, I think we should tap. I do, before we get started, I do want to say one thing. When we ask you specific questions and tell you to journal on them, it's kind of sort of homework, not exactly, like we're not, but it's important.
Yeah.
I know that, on our spring issue, we're talking about resets, but the bottom line is that a lot of things have happened already in 2026. Changes have had to be made, decisions. Every person I talk to is going through something big.
Huge.
Big stuff is happening. And that means anytime something big happens, a bomb drops, and I don't mean a literal bomb, when something happens big, decisions have to be made. Somebody isn't going to be happy.
Mhm.
Somebody isn't going to agree. We do the best that we can, but when people don't agree with us, doesn't mean that the decision that we made is wrong. And I think that's the whole point of this episode, to not s- abandon yourself when you know you've done the homework, you know you've done the work. Talking to these women really made me realize how much we can think about others to the detriment of ourselves.
Yeah.
Thinking about others is so important. But again, love your neighbor as yourself, which means that you've got to show up in there too. So let's tap on this a little bit. As we're doing this tapping today, I want you to think about maybe some decisions you've made recently or a decision you have to make.
Mm.
And, be thinking not necessarily about what other people are going to think. What do you think? What's bringing you peace? And if something comes up where you're like, I'm not 100% sure, just write it down. Just come back to the tapping. It's okay. That's why we come out here every single Tuesday on topics that we know that are on the minds of midlife women so that you have a resource to come back to. So let's go ahead and get started. Morgan, why don't you go ahead and show them the karate chop point? This is where we always begin. We start on the side of the hand and we start at this point. And right here is a time where we're going to just start to try and neutralize our thoughts. We're going to allow the negative or truth to coincide with another truth that might be a little bit more positive. We're going to be saying some things that you typically may not say because, we're judged for being too negative, but we're going to open ourselves up to these ideas. If you decide you want to repeat after me, Morgan, you can. If not, you don't have to. And for those of you who are listening and watching along, if you've been curious what it feels like, just do it. Just do it. Even though this decision hasn't been easy
Even though this decision hasn't been easy,
and not everyone understands it,
not everyone understands it.
I'm open to trusting myself.
I am open to trusting myself right now,
Even though part of me is still second guessing.
even though part of me is still second guessing.
I've been wondering how it's going to be received.
I've been wondering how it's going to be received.
And I have a history of slowing down
And I have a history of slowing down
instead of just finalizing and taking the jump.
instead of finalizing and just taking the jump.
I'm willing to stay with my choice.
I'm willing to stay with my choice.
At least I'm willing to think about staying with my choice.
At least I'm willing to think about staying with my choice.
And for now, that's good enough.
And for now, that's good enough.
Even though choosing my peace comes with discomfort,
Even though choosing my peace comes with discomfort,
some of my family doesn't agree with them.
some of my family doesn't agree with them.
And I don't want to lose closeness with them.
And I don't want to lose closeness with them.
I have to honor myself too.
I have to honor myself too.
I know this is the right thing to do, and I'm willing to move forward
I know this is the right thing to do, and I'm willing to move forward
because I completely love
because I completely love
and accept myself.
and I accept myself.
Okay, keep tapping on the side of your hand. Take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. We're going to start tapping through the points. We're going to start on the eyebrow point right here. Again, it's a light touch. Repeat after me if you like. Do just gentle breathing. You don't have to take deep breaths while we're doing this. And we're going to be thinking about maybe think of one particular decision you made recently, maybe one that wasn't received well, or maybe one that you're in the process of making right now. This isn't an easy decision.
This isn't an easy decision.
There's a lot of emotions.
There's a lot of emotions.
So bad. These emotions are deeper than what I've experienced in the past.
These emotions are deeper than what I've experienced in the past.
Under eye. It's hard to find rest.
It's hard to find rest.
Especially when everyone doesn't agree with me.
Especially when everybody doesn't agree with me.
Under nose, some people question me.
Some people question me.
Some people got angry.
Some people got angry.
And I feel that in my soul.
And I feel that in my soul.
I don't like it.
I don't like it.
Collarbone. I feel this tension in my shoulders.
I feel this tension in my shoulders.
Underarm. Feels like a weight.
Feels like a weight.
Because it's sitting with me.
A weight that's sitting with me.
Mm-hmm. Eyebrow. Part of me wonders.
Part of me wonders.
It's not that. Am I doing the right thing?
Am I doing the right thing?
I know I've thought it through.
I know I've thought this through.
Under nose, and I feel it deeply.
And I feel it deeply.
And doubt keeps showing up.
Doubt keeps showing up.
When I feel others' reactions.
When I feel others' reactions.
Collarbone, sometimes it's the way they look at me.
And sometimes it's the way they look at me.
I see it.
I see it.
Underarm, sometimes I feel their distance.
Sometimes I feel their distance.
And that makes me uncomfortable.
And that makes me uncomfortable.
Top of head. I'm willing to sit in discomfort.
I am willing to sit with discomfort.
To do the thing I know will bring me peace.
To do the thing that I know will bring me peace.
Take a deep breath in real quick. Into the nose. Out through the mouth. It's fun for 2 moments. Eyebrow point. Their distance does not mean that I'm wrong.
Their distance does not mean that I'm wrong.
How did I? Maybe it's just part of the shift.
Maybe it's just part of the shift.
Under I breathe into the shift.
I breathe into the shift.
Because I'm worthy of choosing differently.
Because I'm worthy of choosing differently.
And you know, this is part of honoring myself.
This is part of honoring myself.
Should I made this decision?
I made this decision.
I'm not abandoning myself anymore.
I'm not abandoning myself anymore.
Collarbone, this is for my peace.
And this is for my peace.
Underarm, and that matters.
And that matters.
Top of head, even now.
Even now.
It matters more than before.
It matters more than before.
Because it's time.
Because it's time.
Please. Eyebrow, I give myself permission.
I give myself permission.
Decide about to stand by my conviction.
to stand by my conviction.
Under I, this is my decision.
This is my decision.
Under knows, and even though it's not fully understood.
And even though it's not fully understood,
And I embrace what I need to do.
I embrace what I need to do.
All along, and I feel so much peace.
And I feel so much peace,
I feel so much steadiness.
so much steadiness.
Under arm, this is the choice.
This is the choice.
Like I said, I'm so proud of myself.
I'm so proud of myself.
Tapping. Breathe in. Hold it at the top. Exhale. Let your shoulder down. Let's do a little gentle shoulder roll up, inch back, around and down. Give yourself a little shake. What'd you think of that tapping, Morgan?
It was interesting, all of the different things that were coming up with this one. And
Me too. Me too.
different avenues in my life, aspects of my life. It was really, really fascinating to see where everything was jumping around to.
Yeah.
This felt good.
We're always so curious to know what happens. I mean,
Yes.
it's funny, I write these in advance. I want to make sure that it's smooth and comfortable for you guys, and Morgan writes hers. But the truth of the matter is, in the moment, vibration, energy, different things happen. Different things are said. And sometimes we get lost in them. And that's what I think is so powerful because, you don't have to be outside of your body
Mm.
to be outside of your body, if that makes sense. I hope that wasn't too much. You don't have to be outside of your body to recognize, oh, I see her. I
Mm.
see what she's doing. Oh, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Tapping helps you to do that, helps you to see that. We've been discussing big stressors that women have. And so many times it's the thoughts and decision overload, and it's thinking and overthinking and rethinking. Um, but I think self abandonment is one of the biggest things. And when you allow other people to change your mind for no apparent good reason, just because you're afraid of what they might think, that is the epitome of self abandonment. And I know, Morgan, you've gone through it more than 10 times
Mm.
in big ways. And I'm impressed by how you always come out on the other side. It's really awesome.
Thank you. It's with the help of a lot of supportive people though too. You're going to have those naysayers, but the ones that stick by your side and encourage you to go through this and encourage you to keep growing and to use the things that have gotten you to this point to continue to do it. Those are the ones that help emotionally so much.
Yeah, very good. So, what last words you got for us, Morgan?
Find your peace. Go get it. Like, be willing to stick with it once you find it. Don't let other people's actions and their mouths keep you from continuing to move forward so that you can continue to have your peace because it's worth it once you get there. You know,
Sure.
you know,
Let me show you guys. Let me give you guys this link so you can get the magazine in the magazine for spring and the spring Getting to After magazine. We all about reset, the entire theme and the tapping that we have in there. I don't want to give what the tapping is away, but I will tell you what, it's a really, it's the kind of thing that you have to make micro decisions about in your own home, and people may not agree with you, even in your own home. And so tapping through some of that really helps you make those decisions. And so I hope that you get it. You know that it always helps our initiative for women who are victims of domestic violence survivors and also their children. And we're very proud of that's the reason why we do it. It's $10 an issue or $20 for all four issues for 2026. So we hope that you take part in it. Morgan, I really feel excited about when I get to talk to women about what's going on in their lives, and I know you do too.
yeah.
It's more than just being a voyeur, although I'm a teeny bit of a voyeur. It's really about seeing how these principles that we teach every week, that we talk about, and we're excited and passionate about, how they actually work. And because of my own personal response on doing that tapping, I know this stuff works.
Mhm.
And that's really special to me. So we're out. We're out. We will see you next time. Always come on back here. If you feel like you're alone a little bit sometimes, make sure you go out to our website as well. We've got some free resources out there. Let me give you that link so you have it. We have some great resources out there for you to take a look at. And know too that even if nobody really gets you, like you're in midlife and it feels like nobody gets you, we get you.
Right.
We're coming back to our house next Tuesday. We'll see you at 8 o'clock Eastern. We love ya. Mwah.
Nice.
Bye.